All right. And bienvenidos, familia. You have tuned into Tech and Tequila, the podcast where technology meets community, and every conversation is paired with a good pour and some even better vibes. I'm your host, Kat Lopez-Shelby, your Techie Chica, and today we're diving into the world of communications, innovation, and of course, connection with our friends from Sangoma, one of the leading forces transforming how business stays connected and resilient in today's digital world. From AI-powered communication tools to unified platforms that empower remote teams, Sangoma is redefining what modern business collaboration looks like. We'll explore how they're simplifying complex systems, creating customer-first solutions, and helping businesses like you stay connected anytime and anywhere.
Are you ready to grow your podcast and build your legacy? Hi, I'm Pauletta Rado. I'm a podcaster just like you, and I'm inviting you to join us on October 23rd and 24th for the free Latinas in Podcasting Virtual Summit. You don't have to be Latina to attend. It's 2 days of hands-on tips and proven tactics that deliver real results. We promise you'll leave inspired and with a concrete game plan. So don't wait. Register now for the free Latinas in Podcasting Virtual Summit on October 23rd and 24th. There's a link in the show notes. Nos vemos!
So the first thing I want to do is introduce my two amazing guests from Sangoma, and that is Mr. David Abercrombie and, of course, Mr. Jeff Moss. Do y'all want to take a second to kind of just give us a quick intro and a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, Dave Abercrombie. I'm the strategic channel manager for Sangoma. So I work with a select group of partners like yourself. And my job really is to be the conduit, make sure you have everything you need to be successful from Sangoma.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for joining me, Dave. And Jeff, go ahead, give us a little background about you.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Kat. So my name is Jeff Moss. I'm one of the solutions engineers on the Sangoma team. I'm based here in Austin, Texas. And Kat, if I'm not mistaken, you and I are neighbors. You live just down the road from me. So thanks for having me today. Looking forward to our conversation.
I do. Actually, I think we both visit the same exact Dutch Brothers. I personally visit it every day. It gets a big chunk of my paycheck, but I don't know how often you go. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything, this would not be Tech and Tequila if we did not talk about tequila. So we're going to have a little moment of tequila time. And today, I'm going to talk about an OBG, mi gente, of course. And I have a Blanco right here. You can pick it up at your local Specs. You can pick it up at Total Wine, any of the thing. Of course, mi gente is an artisanal tequila. It was born in the highlands of Jalisco, and it's crafted with a purpose. And if you're wondering why we have mi gente today, because I like to say it's an oldie but goodie, and it's repeat. We've had it a couple times before. But one, it's sustainably crafted. It's carbon neutral and committed to protecting the land and the agave farmers who make this lovely spirit possible. Two, it's female founded. It's led by co-founder and the tequila industry veteran, Ana Maria Romero, one of the few female master distillers in the world. And three, it is an award-winning flavor. So think smooth notes of honey, vanilla, bright citrus, perfect, neat, on the rocks for your favorite cocktail. Now, as I've said many times before, tequila is meant to be sipped. While yes, we can take shots of it, it is meant to be sipped. So you want it to be smooth and delicious, which mi gente is. I love it. You can have it just by itself, or as many people would say, neat. So obviously, mi gente is not just a tequila. It's a celebration of heritage, craftsmanship, and community. And that's what exactly Tech and Tequila is about. Because as we will get into it, it takes a big community to make sure that we do our job and help all the business involved. So salute. Now, of course, we have one quick promo for one of the lovely things going on right now. Before we dive into today's episode, of course, I wanted to share some exciting news with you guys. And that is, if you are ready to grow your podcast and build a legacy, I am cordially inviting you to join me in October on the 23rd and 24th for the free Latinas in Podcasting Virtual Summit. Now, don't let the name fool you. You do not have to be a Latina to attend. This is 2 days of hands-on tips, proven facts. The legal Migo will be there. She's a speaker. that delivers real results. You'll leave not only inspired, but with a concrete game plan to grow your show and your brands. Don't wait. Register now. The link will be in the show notes. And of course, I will see you there. So I'm going to have my tequila while I talk to you guys. So let's get into the discussion, because there is nothing that I like more than making sure that businesses feel empowered and they know what's available to them. And Sangoma is no different than that. So obviously one of the you guys have is unified communication across, cloud, hybrid, and on-prem. What factors should an organization consider when deciding what unified communication to go to, and how does Sangoma really help with deploying and making it all possible?
Let me jump in real quick, and I'm going to let Jeff take the crux of this. But that's one of the huge differentiators for us. When you talk about UCaaS is UCaaS. But where we separate that and really rise to the top is we not only provide UCaaS, but we also provide traditional premise-based equipment, that's all homespun, and then we'll do a merge between the two. So, just keep in mind that that's one of those differentiators for Sangoma that really separates us from our peers. Hey, Jeff?
Yeah, I love that, Dave. So, Kat, you brought the tequila to today's discussion. I thought it was only appropriate if I brought the Sangoma secret sauce to the conversation. So we're not going to leave you hanging there. Yeah, a little bit about what Dave was saying there. We have this philosophy at Sangoma that we want to meet the customer where they're at in their telephony journey, wherever they're at. So we can leverage those 3 deployment models that David mentioned, the cloud, hybrid, and prem. We can let the customer know wherever they're at in that journey. We can meet them where they're at and help them get to where they're trying to get to. So a couple of examples of that would be if they're on cloud, but they don't like their current cloud UCaaS deployment, we've got a couple of different cloud offerings. If they're in healthcare, assisted living, and they need on-site local survivability, we have a hybrid solution where I can put a PBX on-site to provide local services if they happen to lose all access to the internet. So things like extension to extension dialing. So in healthcare and assisted living, hybrid is huge. And then we've also got that premise-based solution that Dave mentioned, where there are still customers out there on the old legacy Mitel, Avaya, NEC, the list goes on, and they still want a physical appliance that they're 100% responsible for, that they can touch and manage. We've got a premise-based solution. We've also got a standalone SIP trunking solution as well. So if they want to make no other changes than rip out those legacy PRIs that have skyrocketed in cost over the last several years, and they're just looking for a SIP trunking solution, we can leverage our standalone SIP trunking solution. So again, wherever they're at, we'll help them get to where they're trying to get to. And that's one of the 2 key ingredients in that secret sauce I brought to today's discussion.
No, and I was going to say, I think that's one of the big things that's great about Sangoma. So whether you are what I like to call like an on-prem phone system hugger that wants to like touch it, feel it, and own it, or you're in the cloud or you want to make transitions, you guys have kind of what a flavor that's best. So similar to like a Blanco, a Reposado, and a Anejo, you have several different flavors to go with. Now, one of the things that you talked about, of course, was cloud and hybrid and some different things, but Sangoma also integrates voice, video, networking, and security. What are the biggest challenges in, number one, making all those things work seamlessly, and how do you guys tackle that for your clients?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I like to use the analogy of building a house. And what's the first thing that you do when you build a house? Somebody last week in a breakout session said, you get the permits. Okay, let's assume we've already got the permits to build the house, right? What's the first thing in the construction process? You pour the foundation. What that means for customers is their connectivity strategy. So we can leverage that complete portfolio of MSP products and services. We offer DIA, broadband, DSL. We can layer things like SD-WAN on top of it. We have our own VeloCloud orchestrator. We can help customers with their connectivity strategy, which is that foundation using the house building model. Then on top of that foundation, layer whatever cloud services you want. That's that other key ingredient in that secret sauce. So we can help customers not only with their telephony strategy, but the underlying connectivity that makes it all work. And we've all been in this industry long enough that we've heard that analogy, you're only as good as the last mile. Well, we don't own the last mile, but we own everything in between because we're a tier 1 ISP provider. Those two things, if you bundle them together, makes for a rock solid solution.
Yeah. There's another saying, too many cooks in the kitchen. And, in the typical UC deployment, you've got a UC provider and then an internet provider, maybe an SD-WAN. And when things aren't working right, there's too many cooks in the kitchen and nobody gets done. One of the advantages with Sangoma is, we're the ones in the kitchen. So, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to deliver the expectation. And that just makes it easier for us.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that kind of the too many cooks in the kitchen. So you're not going to have a vendor meet or have your ISP blaming your UCaaS solution, your UCaaS blaming your SD-WAN. So everything can be covered kind of like, we'll just say one big enchilada or burrito. I guess burrito is a better way to say that. But it's all there. So you have the ability to say, okay, let's check this, and get it basically taken care of without having to call all these different people. And I can see that as a huge advantage, especially for, the SMB and mid-market when, let's be real. I mean, SMB, mid-market plus enterprise, having people, I was going to say, the staffing can always be an issue no matter where you are, because whether you're enterprise, they're going to want 10 more people and people are going to tell them no, or you're SMB and you're talking to the office manager or whoever they have magically designated as their tech person. Yep. So I definitely see that being huge.
Yeah. Managing multiple vendors is difficult. Even if you're in an enterprise and you have a large IT team, what typically means you just have more vendors to manage. But being in a, medium-sized business where everybody's wearing multiple hats, and that's usually what you see in a medium-sized business. The office manager or the IT guy is also the break fix. They do so many different hats. Managing a group of vendors becomes more and more of a struggle, and they can get lost in that, and productivity goes right out the window the longer they have to involve themselves.
Yeah, and we don't hide behind voicemails and email just because we're providing those services that we're talking about today. About a year and a half ago, we rolled out a portal called the NetOps Portal, Network Operations, and we provide complete transparency with our MSP portfolio. So whether you're buying UCaaS, contact center, circuits, SD-WAN, it doesn't matter. Every single one of our managed customers gets access for absolutely free. We don't charge for it, to what we call our NetOps Portal. And it provides insight into the current health of the network. Is a phone registered? If somebody's having issues in a particular location, whether it's the partner or the customer, we'll let you co-manage them if the partner wants to do that. And we'll give you, again, at no cost, access to that network operations portal so that you can absolutely see what's going on with your services that we're proactively monitoring. It's not you or the customer sitting on hold with AT&T for 3 hours, right, to get an update on a ticket. We're doing that for you, but we want you to have visibility into the health of the network.
No, and I think that's huge, because obviously having visibility into the network helps people to kind of know what's the baseline. Is it, we've all seen it where you're like, unplug and plug back in. I like to say that's kind of like the old school IT. Did you turn it off and turn it back on? I'm sure everybody has seen that. Or did you do it? Try it one more time. Let's give it, one more time.
The old reboot. Did you reboot?
The old reboot.
Yeah, we've actually come up with, because rebooting, doing the power cycle is a big deal. That's usually number one thing to do when you're in a troubleshooting. So we now have a product now that we can do that remotely for them. So, Yep.
And we'll manage third-party circuits, Kat. So even if the customer isn't buying the circuits directly through Sangoma, for a couple dollars a month per circuit, we'll proactively monitor third-party circuits to give a customer a feel for the value that we bring to the table. So obviously we want them to buy the services through Sangoma, but if they have existing infrastructure, we'll lean in and help them using that same tool, charge them a couple dollars. When those contracts are up for renewal, we'd like to be able to get those services under our umbrella. So lot of good stuff there.
Yeah. No, and I think that's huge because we all know that, all these circuits have SLAs and have things on them. And it's like, if you have somebody monitoring, it's easy to say, hey, you said that we're supposed to get this, we're getting this. And now you've got the proof to show that. I don't want to take too big of a turn here, but one of the things, because we've been talking about technologies and different things, what do you guys believe will be the most affected communications platform in the next 3 to 5 years? And how is Sangoma preparing? Because we've all seen these huge changes since 2020 in everything that we do.
Dave, you want to give him your thoughts and I'll jump?
So I've been around for 1,000 years. So I remember it was a can and a string and two cans. So, we keep saying that eventually voice is going to be archaic and it's going to go away, but that's not the reality. But what we are seeing is more of a distributed voice network. So, maybe not the traditional desk sets as much as having mobile devices and having the ability to connect through your mobile device to your contact center or just to your calls in general. So having that mobility and having the ability to constantly be connected regardless of what platform you're on, I think we just continue to grow from there.
Yeah, and Dave just mentioned my two favorite words, contact center. A lot of evolution and revolution maybe in some camps around contact center. And these days you cannot talk about contact center without talking about that magical word, AI, right? Artificial intelligence. And at every conference that I attend, Kat, they want to know, what is it? How does it work? How does it benefit me? How do I sell it? How does it work? We're not going to get too deep into the weeds on generative versus agentic AI, but I think in the next 5 to 7 years, going back to what David said about voice at the end of the day is still king. Contact center is where there's going to be a huge opportunity because in a lot of spaces, UCaaS is commoditized, right? There's lots of providers out there. Everybody needs it. But when it comes to contact center, I think the opportunity is going to be in what we call voice AI, right? So there are people that still want a human voice or the perception of speaking to a human voice when they call into a contact center to get, to ask questions about their credit card, to make a dinner reservation or whatever it is that they're, whatever brand they're interacting with. So there's companies out there that are really focused on voice AI as it relates to contact center. And I think there's going to be a big opportunity in that space because contact center, again, is the hot topic. And that's, everybody deserves a better customer journey.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think kind of what you said, voice is king right now, but I think it's the importance of providing an excellent customer experience for your client, which means connecting with them how they want to be connected. Exactly. I mean, kind of like what you said. Do they want to call you? Do they want to chat? Do they want, I would say email, but, text message and with Sangoma's offerings, it includes all of that. So you're able to meet them in that way.
Absolutely. It's kind of like what we talked about a minute ago. Meet the customer where they're at and provide them with the experience that they deserve and that they, require. And happy customer is a customer that you get to keep for life.
See, and that's a good point because when you look at, how the best way to judge your company is how long your customers stay with you. And if you look, we've got customers that have been with us for, 6, 7, 10, 12 years. And that says a lot for what Sangoma brings to the table. And again, all these services we talk about can be sold individually. And these are all individual pieces, but when it really works is when they're all plugged in together.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the secondary topic at hand that I think we hear all the time, and that is about security, because security is becoming increasingly crucial for not just communication systems, but for customers in general. So what are the most common attack vectors that you guys see, of course, for unified communications, or you see with some of your clients? And how does Sangoma's managed security cover that and adapt to these emerging threats?
Yeah, I'll jump in and take that one. When it comes to healthcare, they want to know, are you HIPAA certified? Is my data transit and at rest encrypted? Is it safe? Short answer with Sangoma is yes. All of our platforms are HIPAA certified. And if you're taking financial information, credit card information, they want to know, are you Sangoma PCI certified? Again, the short answer is yes, absolutely, we're PCI certified. So when it comes to security, those are those couple of certifications that typically come up in the conversation. And then if you look at our overall MSP portfolio of products and services, we offer managed firewall, all of those services that customers come to expect. And again, like David said a couple of different times during today's discussion, they can get it all through Sangoma, and we can be that one back to pat or one throat to choke, depending on the day.
Yep.
Absolutely. I know that we talked about this, but what are some customer success stories that you guys can share that Sangoma has enabled a transformation, whether that be cost savings, scalability, building resiliency, and like some of the hurdles that you guys have been able to overcome?
So we talked earlier about those 3 different UCaaS deployments, cloud, hybrid, and prem. I want to talk about that one in the middle, that hybrid solution that's applicable to healthcare and assisted living. And we're getting a lot of traction right now in healthcare, specifically assisted living, where they need on-site local survivability. They absolutely need to be able to provide things like extension to extension dialing if they lose complete access to the internet. And in our world, that's what we call our BV Plus or Business Voice Plus product. And we're having a lot of success out there in the market with that product because it's a unique feature that not a lot of people out there offer. So when it comes to healthcare and assisted living, it's that on-site local survivability, and we're just having a lot of good success with that. So if I looked at our funnel and some of the recent deals that we've closed, it's going to have that flavor, that on-site local survivability. What say you?
So it's funny because, I would like to say, name drop some of our largest customers out there. And we have some really massive, 10,000, 15,000 seat opportunities, customers. But I think kind of one of the most unique ones is, without dropping names, whatever, Einstein Bagels is a really great, customer service and good story. I mean, this is a company who, has, 750, 800 locations. I don't know what they're up to now, but they don't need a lot. But what they need is, a vendor to take care of it all. This is, again, very dispersed, network. You don't have an IT guy in every Einstein Bagel store. You just can't. So having a good partner who can meet them where they're at and take care of them, we were a perfect fit. And we picked up all of their services, which made it great. And they've been a customer for ours, I want to say 7 years now. So great retail story. And we've had some really good case stories. We can link them here, or you guys can, go on Sangoma website and look. We've got some really, really unique, especially in the retail area, stories where we've just done some great things.
Yeah, I think regardless of the win or the vertical, the commonality across all of our successes is multiple sites and multiple products where we can truly design a solution using the full depth and breadth of what Sangoma offers. If we can position that, that's where we win. Can we win the onesie twosies with a single location? Yeah, maybe once in a while. But where we truly shine is lots of distributed locations and bundle multiple services together. That's where that Sangoma secret sauce really comes out.
No, so a lot of what I hear is that, it's obviously you guys are killing it when it comes to unified communications, but that's not the full, let's say, story or picture. It's also that you guys are building the backup resiliency for these clients, especially like what you were talking about with like nursing homes, assisted living, making sure that they have those backups and everything in place. What are some of the things when you are working with a customer that I would say you try to dig down or talk to them about and make sure if they're like, let's say, tunnel vision, that you're making sure that you're covering everything?
So I'm going to jump into that because, Jeff and I are working on one right now, and it's I want to say large. It's 500-600 seats with a bit, with a decent sized call center, but it's in the medical industry. And they've got some embedded service providers who are top notch, who are leaders in their industry, but they've got them kind of scattered. So they've got one for their CX and one for their call center and one that's managing their mobile management system. And so they've got all these different vendors, and trying to tie it together has been difficult and extremely expensive. What they need in their contact center isn't a full-blown contact center. They don't need the sophistication that they're paying for. And today they've got one that's, they're paying extremely high, but it's a quality contact center. When we started digging in and talking about, looking at their call volumes and literally going with them and helping them build these, tell them how to build these reports and what to look at, we start to see a pattern there where we can come in and go, look, we can clean this all up. We can save you probably 50% of what you're paying today, which for, a private medical institution, that's a huge deal. But we can also do it better because we can do all these things. We're not quite to the finishing line yet, because a lot of the things we pointed out is a little bit shocking to them. They're still having to digest all this information, but it was great. And we're a company built of engineers. So, I can throw engineering at anything, and I can bring as many engineers on a call as needed. And we can get way down in the weeds with these customers and really, build something for them, and not just chunk out quotes. At the end of the day, that's not what we're about. I tell my bidding team, we're not just sending out quotes. We need to have a conversation. We need to understand what's going on so that when we present something, it's the right something. And Jeff will tell you, what, if it doesn't fit us, we'll be the first ones to say, hey, look, what, probably not good for us. We're not going to be able to meet all your needs. Appreciate the opportunity, but maybe go in this direction. And if it's not Sangoma, that's fine. I just would rather, miss an opportunity or pass on an opportunity than bring on somebody and fail. It just, to me, in the long run, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we like to use the phrase, we want customers and partners to lose early, win often, right? And to David's point, we want to sit down and understand, and this goes back to what we've been talking about, find out where the customer's at. What pieces of their current tech stack can we use where we can take Sangoma and complement what they have? Otherwise, Kat, what happens when you start talking to customers about things like rip and replace and forklift, and you got to take everything out and start all new. It scares everybody. We don't want to take that approach at Sangoma, and we don't. So my team of SEs, solutions engineers, we truly sit down and figure out, okay, what pieces can be improved upon, what's broken, what's not working, where can we complement that piece, use the pieces that are working, and let's work together to get them to where they're trying to go to. And that's the approach at Sangoma. It's never, you got to rip everything out and start over. Now, in some cases, is there tech debt? Things that really need to go away? Probably, but if they're under contract, that's not going to happen day one, right? So let's figure out how to complement what they have, get a Sangoma solution in place that fits them short-term and long-term. And Dave, I think we've got a phrase, if it doesn't fit, we must have quit, or was that something else? Am I getting confused with something?
I don't use that one.
Okay, well, we'll scrap that then. You can delete that from the recording.
Well, I was going to say what I like about it is it really sounds that one of the things I talk with my customers about a lot is you bring me in for one thing today, but as we're discussing, there might be other things that in the future need to be upgraded. And so you guys have the ability to sit down, consult with the clients and talk to them and say, let's make a future roadmap because you brought us in for this, but here's all the things that we discovered.
Yeah. And I will touch on one thing as well. We're talking about all the things we do for our customer, your customer, I should say. We don't sell direct. We only sell through partners. So at the end of the day, if I go to you, Kat, and say, here's our recommendation, we think this is the best fit, and you take it out to your customer who trusts Kat for a recommendation, and we don't meet the expectations, it's not just our customer we lost, but we lost your customer for you as well. And that's something we can't abide. We understand, this is your reputation as much as ours. And so we literally go in this as partnerships. And that's why it's important. And I preach this to all my partners. Get people like Jeff involved in the conversation. Let somebody like Jeff help you with your, when you're going through discovery. Bring him in here. Just say, hey, he's your engineer. Let him say he's with Sangoma. Just say, hey, I've got my engineer on here. But let us help you with the discovery, especially if it's in areas that you're not comfortable. Call center might be one of those areas that not everybody has had the opportunity to work in and build. Bring Jeff in. Let him ask the questions. I mean, at the end of the day, that allows you to have all the information. If you need to go bid it to 3 bidders, you've got all the information to get that sent out. But I preach that a lot. Let us help you with the discovery piece. It'll go a long ways with your success with your partner or with your customer.
No, and I couldn't agree more. I think that really what you're talking about is the team effort, which ultimately is what being in the channel, being a trusted advisor is all about.
Yep.
We've covered a lot of things here. So there's 2 things that I wanted to finish out on. And one is, when you guys look to the future, what do you feel like kind of Sangoma's next moves are? And then, I know we've listed some differentiators, but what items do you think are the most important to say this is Sangoma's differentiators?
Okay, I'll take the differentiators. I'll let Jeff take the future. Because right now, I can tell you, we've got really 2 major differentiators. The fact that, we can provide any 3 of the options with the voice services, cloud, prem, hybrid. We may be the only one. As far as I can think of, we're the only ones who offer all 3. And then when you combine that with a nationwide IP backbone, a nationwide, I think we've got 12 or 13 on-ramps to our SD-WAN platform, all again, and I should really reinnovate. This is all Sangoma owned and managed. So while we go out and we buy the Velo orchestrators, we're managing those. It's not we don't white label anything. So that's all of us. So when you combine that opportunity, that pillar, along with, having any of the voice services that we can, it makes us really one of a kind out there, and very unique. So I think that, if I was sitting in an IT CIO desk, I would at least have Sangoma at the table. Now, you might not always buy from Sangoma, but it would make sense to have us at the table on every opportunity. It just would.
Yeah, I would agree. We're definitely going to double down on those 3 different UCaaS deployment offerings. But the space where I see, and we talked about this a little bit ago, Kat, that AI topic, right? We're working on our roadmap. We're working on some AI capabilities because, again, when it comes to contact center, AI is the big topic, right? And we're working on some things around agentic IVRs and really taking the simple, mundane tasks off of a live agent and save that human resource for those more complex interactions. That's the direction that we're moving in. It's been that way. It's going to continue to be that way. And Sangoma is doubling down with that. We're also opening up our capabilities to integrate with some of the other AI providers out there. Yellow AI, Observe AI, some of the ones that we're all familiar with, right? That are really just doing a fantastic job at developing those AI capabilities. We're not afraid to lean into those providers and sell with and integrate with them. So we're going to double down on that as well. So I'd say AI is going to be a big topic, and that's not going away anytime soon.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you both for being on the show today. Obviously, I was going to say I can't do what I do without other suppliers in the channel, but I want to thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us on. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Enjoy.
What an incredible conversation. A huge gracias to Mr. David and Mr. Jeff from Sangoma for dropping so much information and how innovation, AI, and communications can come together to keep your business resilient and connected. Remember, familia, technology isn't just about devices and platforms. It's about people, purpose, and progress. And that's exactly what we celebrate every week here on Tech and Tequila. If today's episode inspired you, do me a quick favor. Subscribe or follow our podcast wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. And of course, tag at Shelby Tech Solutions with the hashtag Tech and Tequila so I can toast you back. And Lastly, but not least, don't forget, Latinas in Podcasting Virtual Summit is happening October 23 y 24. It's 2 powerful days of learning, connection, and legacy building. And yes, it's completely gratis. It's free. So register using the link in the show notes and join an amazing community that's creating waves in podcasting and beyond. So until next time, keep your business secure, your system smart, and of course, your glass half full. I'm Kat Lopez-Shelby, your Techie Chica, signing off with a sip and a smile and a reminder that connection changes everything. Salud, familia. I'll see you next week on Tech and Tequila.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Tech and Tequila. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. To stay updated about all things tech and more, don't forget to visit us at our website, shelbyts.com. If you loved what you heard, remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our podcast. Your 5-star ratings and reviews mean the world to us and help us to reach more listeners just like you. So muchas gracias again for joining us with Tech and Tequila. Thank you so much. You learned a lot about tech and maybe you had a nice drink of tequila.